Okay, welcome everybody. I'm George Ramirez, the Executive Director of the Lawrence Partnership, and I want to let you know that we have a fantastic program for you this morning. I know it's a little bit warm, and so we're going to get things started a little early. I see some folks are still grabbing an extra bite, but we're going to be calling the chair of the board up to get started soon. Hi, John Howard. Okay, thank you so much. At this time, it's my great honor to call up Wendy Estrella, our board chair. Please give her a round of applause. All right, Wendy. Woo!
That was not loud enough. Not loud enough. Come on, come on. How lovely is this? We still have a couple of chairs. So if anybody wants to come and say, I am going to ask that you please refrain from speaking while we are doing the program. We want to make sure that you are here to enjoy what we have to say, and I am sure that you're all going to come out of here super excited and ready to become part of this organization. So good morning. It's still morning, right, Lane? Still morning. Senator Pavel, Francisco, I'm kind of pulling one of, you don't want me to grab this mic and go and say hello. Should I do that, Lane? And just walk over there, perhaps. All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here today. I want to welcome you all to the Lawrence Partnership annual meeting for 2023. How exciting it is to see so many of you here. I could not believe the number of people that registered for this event. We had over 400 people. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. So on behalf of the board, I want to say welcome and thank you for the support. Just being here means a lot to us at the Lawrence Partnership. So for those of you who don't know who I am, which I doubt it very much because I feel like I know everybody here, this is why I'm so comfortable today. But my name is Wendy Estrella and I am the board of the chair of the Lawrence Partnership. So I know that I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of you know, I suppose, what the Lawrence Partnership is all about. But I also know that there are some of you who don't have an idea of what this organization does, when we started, and what we're all about. So I figured I'd start the meeting today talking about a little bit about the Lawrence Partnership. How did we start? What is it that we do? It's been 9 years that we started, and we still have people asking, what does the Lawrence Partnership do? So my job here today is to kind of give you a little bit of a brief introduction to what the Lawrence Partnership is, when we started, and a little bit of a history about it. So a lot of you might recall back in 2012, I kind of had to check my facts on that. So who do I call? Lane Glenn to help me out with this one. The guy that never forgets anything. Thank you, Lane, for providing this excellent information for me. So in 2012, there was an article that came out at the Boston Magazine, and it was an article, a very unflattering article about Lawrence. And what the article said, right on top, what it said was, Lawrence, Mass., the city of the damned. And the article just kept talking about the city, just like the sentence really summed up what the article was all about. So it kept talking about Lawrence being that crime in Lawrence is soaring, the schools are failing, government has lost control, and the part that bothered me the most is the one that said the most God-forsaken place in Massachusetts. Now guys, I'll be honest with you, you know that I wasn't born here, right? So yeah, I speak English, but there are times that there were words that I had to look them up. So I seriously had to look up the definition of God-forsaken, because I didn't know what it really meant. And then when I saw the definition, I got upset, and it's been 10 years. So the definition is pretty much a city that is lacking merit or extra or attraction. Imagine that, like, that we just, I'm upset right now, by the way, just by thinking about that, I get upset. So what happens when we read this article? A group of business and civic leaders came together and said, you know what, Lawrence is a lot more than what this article says, right? So they came together and formed what is today the Lawrence Partnership. And that actually happened, believe it or not, 9 years ago. Interesting enough, it's been 9 years, and I see Derek here and joining us today, who's also our first executive director. And it's exciting to not just see him, but so many of you who have walked this journey with us with the Lawrence Partnership. So the Lawrence Partnership, again, is an organization that started in 2014, and it's a collaboration of business and civic leaders that are committed to working towards the economic development of the city of Lawrence, making Lawrence better. And it feels like a movement, right? So this group of people came together and said, you know what, let's change the scenario. Let's change this whole topic of what Lawrence is talking about. So I think that magazine did us a favor, right? Because we came together and said, you know, and I was fortunate enough to be part of that group of business that came together, these leaders that came together to really focus on really three things, right? They focus on the economic development of the city. We also focus on our leaders, the emerging leaders of the of the city, because we also want to make sure that we recognize these upcoming leaders, right? Some of us will eventually not be here, and what we've noticed is that Lawrence has so much talent, right? So the partnerships through its networking, mentorship, has really done a tremendous job making sure that we're working towards all these goals that the partnership had at the beginning. And I can tell you now that we stand here 9 years later with like 400 people listening to what we've done in the past, and I can tell you that a lot of great things have come out of this organization. So one thing that I want to make sure is that when you guys leave today, this place, that we leave you with a call to action. I want people to recognize what the partnership does, get excited about what we do, and be part of it, right? Support one another. And I love that this year's theme for the annual meeting is community, mentorship, and success. Community, mentorship, and success. And when I was told that was going to be the theme of this year's meeting, I thought to myself, that's what the Lawrence Partnership is all about. We're all about community. We're about the community of Lawrence. The board members and all the supporters of the partnership, they all have one goal in mind, and it's to make sure that Lawrence is succeeding, it's doing well. And we do that through many, many programs. And one of them, again, has to do with making sure that we're mentoring our leaders, upcoming leaders, to make sure that our city is a success. Because how do we become successful, right? We need to come together and work towards one goal. And I love what the partnership has done in the last 9 years, and we know that we're going to continue to do that work as long as we have leaders coming up. And today you're going to see that we're going to be recognizing a lot of these leaders that have done a tremendous job in our city. So without further ado, again, thank you so much for your attention. And at this point, I would like to actually welcome our mayor of the city, my good friend, Mayor Brian DePena. Mayor DePena has been a supporter of the partnership for many, many years, even before he became the mayor of the city. So we'd like to welcome him to say a couple of words. And so stay tuned, guys, because we have a great program for you guys.
Good morning, everyone. I like it when Wendy introduced me because she's my good friend for many years, and I love her, and she loves me, and I love her, and include her family. She have a nice and beautiful family. But I want to say thank you for being here today. It's a great opportunity for another demonstration. The City of Lawrence move forward. I think in this moment, the City of Lawrence is a more popular city in Massachusetts. Everybody keep or have interest in Lawrence, and everybody in the room knows what is the reason. Because for many years, a lot of small business believe it. Lawrence have an opportunity for engross business and open business. I remember 35 years ago when I opened my first business in Lawrence, a restaurant, next business, hardware store, tire shop, mechanic garage. But I remember when I started my first business, Lawrence and the Massachusetts state don't include bank, because now Lawrence have a couple of banks. It's couple, not too much. Believe it, in the business and Lawrence. But when I started my business, if you're looking for support for the city hall, for the state or federal support, zero. In every business, and Lawrence know my history and another history. Only one person provide money or loan for a small business, but you pay high interest. Now it is easy. The new bank in Lawrence support local business, but 35 years ago, open business in Lawrence not easy. Now the city provide funding for small business. Local bank, small bank in Lawrence provide money for the city, a local business. The state, Massachusetts, include any institution in the Massachusetts or federal government, small business, Lawrence Partnership. It's a lot of institution. When I opened my first business, I never found the support. But now it's different. And let me explain something. My administration in this moment approved $5.6 million for local business. It's an easy money for a small business, because that money don't have many regulations, because it's a money my administration take it from free cash. It's any restriction is a local decision. And I want to say thank you today, because it's not my administration only. The city council member approved any single money for local business. I want to say thank you, Councilor President Malaplan, for your support, Councilor Ana Levy for support, Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez, I want to say thank you. Here, Councilor Stephanie Infante, Councilor Gregory de Rosario, Councilor Ana de la Cruz, Maria de la Cruz, and another city council, I forgot the council. Selena Reyes, Estela Reyes, and include a state delegation, because a state delegation fired every single day for provide service for not only for the small business, for any institution in the city of Lawrence. That include Senator Pavel Payano, State Rep Francisco Paulino, State Rep Fran Moran, State Rep Estela Reyes. I want to say thank you again, welcome to the meeting, and God bless the city of Lawrence, and keep open new business in Lawrence, because in 2 or 3 more years, if somebody try open business in Lawrence, it's not easy, because remember, Lawrence is a small city, and everybody in this moment in the whole state of Massachusetts looking for one place in Lawrence. If you have a family, have an interest in open new business in Lawrence, tell him. The mayor said, move quickly, okay? Thank you, God bless you, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Mayor De Peña. That was fantastic. So the next person that I'm going to introduce, and it's interesting again how it's almost like coming back full circle, at least for me. When I got here this morning, I actually happened to run into this person. That's our next speaker who's going to be introducing the next part of the presentation. And I stopped and I said, do you know what's interesting? We started a journey together many, many years ago without even knowing where we were going. This person has been probably one of my biggest mentors. When I was a young woman looking to become an attorney, I really didn't know anybody that I can ask questions about. Where do I apply? How do I do this? How difficult is it, right? So I remember my sister saying to me, listen, there is this Dominican lawyer in Lawrence, and I'm talking about good 23 years ago. And I suggest that you give him a call, right? And she gives me the name and the number. She had a card for him. And I happened to call this guy who answers the phone. And I said, listen, I am just this Dominican girl who is looking to go to law school and don't know what to do. Right? And to make a long story short, this lawyer not just gave me advice on the phone, we actually went out to lunch and gave me all the information that I needed at the time to fulfill the dream of becoming a lawyer. And after that, I graduate from law school, become an attorney, and then he becomes my mentor as I'm trying to navigate the court system. And then 23 years later, we're still sharing so many things in common, right? It almost seems like we're kind of like twins. We might be twins. But now we're not just colleagues, but we're both real estate developers, investors. We have an interest in this community that has seen us grow. And it's my pleasure and honor to invite not just my friend, my colleague, but also the up-and-coming chair of the Lawrence Partnership. This year will be my last year as the chair of the partnership, and I am so thankful for that. But let me tell you, the partnership is in good hands. So I'd like you to welcome Attorney Socrates de la Cruz.
Good job, good job.
Thank you, Wendy. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Good, excellent. For those of you who don't know, my name is Socrates de la Cruz, and I grew up in Lawrence. Through the 70s, the 80s. Wendy already dated me, saying she met me 23 years ago. So the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 20s. And one of the things that I hear a lot today about Lawrence that I disagree with is that Lawrence is on the rise. Lawrence is all the way up. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and try and buy a building. And to kind of cement my theory about Lawrence, I want to quote a more modern day philosopher, the Latino rapper, Fat Joe. All the way up. If you know it, join me. All the way up. Nothing can stop her. She's all the way up. All the way up. I thought there was some hip hop people in here. But one thing that is true about Lawrence, and that is always on the rise, is its people, its entrepreneurs. They rise every year. And this year, I have the amazing pleasure and the honor to introduce to you 3 of those rising stars from the all the way up city of Lawrence, Mass. And I do want to remind you today, the Lawrence Partnership has this annual event every single year. And what we look in a nutshell to celebrate is our successes, what we've been able to accomplish throughout the year. And that primarily only has to do with things like the Venture Loan Fund, where we give or help businesses that are basically unbankable receive loans, start their business, and rise up. We have education programs, which a lot of you are part of or came through. So in essence, what we're celebrating here today is you and your support. And for that, I thank you. The City of Lawrence thanks you, and the Lawrence Partnership thanks you. And I welcome you to a round of applause for yourselves. The Rising Stars bring an important set of relationships and expectations to the work of building an inclusive economy and represent our most hopeful visions of the future of this city. Elevating them and their ideas is vital to ensuring that we realize, or we are realizing, our community's highest potential. It's very important that we highlight each other, that we support each other. You know, Henry Ford, which is an older philosopher, I like Fat Joe better, but Henry Ford said, coming together is the beginning. And then he went on to say, keeping together is progress, but working together is success. Working together is success. And this is what our mission is. This is the call to action that Wendy said she left you with and will leave you with again. We must continue to work together to lift each other up and bring not only these 3 rising stars, but newer rising stars. That is my call to action to this audience. And without further ado, I am going to call your names out. When you hear your name, you can yell and scream and be happy. But I would like you also to come on up, because what we're going to do is we're going to present you with an award. And I'm going to invite Wendy to come up as well, and the mayor. And we're going to present you with your award, and we're going to take an opportunity to take a picture. And if there are any media outlets here, this is your time. This is your time to put our rising stars on the front page of your paper or your platform. You can clap for that. Come on, let's get it up. And these are in no particular order, but the first one I will call is Jessie Mello. She is the owner of Jessie Clean Meals. Is Jessie with us? I'm going to give them the award together afterwards, but they're beautiful. Check it out. They're gorgeous. So Jessie was part of our RTK program, and all of the vendors that you see here, I would ask you to go back and support once we're done. They're vendors that are local, vendors that are hardworking, vendors that are up and coming, vendors that will rent your commercial space and fill our city up with amazing places to have dinner, to have lunch, and to just go have coffee. So feel proud of the food that you're eating, not only because it tastes great, but because it's homegrown. Number 2, Joanne Ortiz Reed. Joanne is the founder and owner of Cure Aid Pharmacy here in the city. Does an amazing job there, up and coming entrepreneur who has exceeded expectations. So God bless her as well. Now, I'm going to ask Ms. Barajas to come up and receive this award on behalf of Maricel Gores. She is the Assistant Superintendent of Lawrence Public Schools. Round of applause, please. She could not be here today, but again, another rising star from our city. Now, these 2 individuals here with Ms. Barajas representing Ms. Gores are this year's rising stars. Only 3 examples, only 3. If we had more money for more awards, we'd probably have 5,000. We really do have that much talent in this city. And again, I ask you, continue to support each other and support local businesses like the 3 who are up here now. So again, round of applause for our winners this year. Excellent.
That's why I'm here. It's a mentoring program.
One last thing. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here. Wendy did state that I am the new incoming chair of the Lawrence Partnership. I am blessed to have that position. I am honored. If you noticed, she wears some beautiful high heel shoes, ones that I do not pretend to fill. I won't. I will wear my own shoes. But what I will do is, I will build on the experience, the information, the knowledge, and the guidance that those shoes have already walked. So again, thank you for being here. God bless you all, and let's continue to work with one another.
What a room of all-stars. The view from up here is simply spectacular. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Sock and Wendy. The leadership of this organization has been and continues to be in great hands and in great shoes, whatever size the heels are on those shoes, Sock. I don't blame you for not wanting to try to wear Wendy's, that's for sure. This organization, as you heard Wendy say a little while ago, was founded as a public-private collaboration to improve economic development and the quality of life here in the city of Lawrence. There are a lot of features that go into economic development that are important to us. Features like thriving businesses, an educated and an engaged workforce, access to quality health care, social networking opportunities, resilience in the face of unexpected challenges, as this city has seen a number of times just in the past few years. This organization owes a great deal to the man seated behind me here. His name is David Tibbetts, and I'm very proud to share the stage with David here today. Dave is a native of Lawrence himself. If you check out his Facebook page, it says right there, is a native of Lawrence himself. If you check out his Facebook page, it says, lives in Newburyport, Lawrence kid. That's Dave. Among a lot of other accomplishments that he's too humble to allow me to share with you, I will say he served as the Secretary of Economic Development for the Commonwealth under former Governor Weld. He founded the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council in 1999. That Economic Development Council was actually the first fiscal agent for this partnership. Were it not for Dave and the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council, we would not have been able to start ourselves as a nonprofit that is now associated with Northern Essex Community College. When we first held our annual event in 2017, we wanted to honor someone who had successfully promoted and implemented innovative economic development strategies, someone who, over a long period of time, rallied a variety of constituencies to the cause, included policymakers, included business leaders, included community advocates like all of you. Somebody who was clearly devoted to inclusive economic development, to all of the people in the city. And so we gave our first Economic Development Impact Award to David Tibbetts. We named it for him, and since then, we've been able to give it to people who have been similarly committed to long-term economic development and have had an impact on this city. People like Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas, Eastern Bank CEO Bob Rivers, community leader and Silverio Insurance founder Julio Silverio, urban planner and former Groundwork Lawrence executive director Maggie Superchurch. This year, we're incredibly proud to be presenting our 2023 David Tibbetts Economic Development Impact Award to another self-described Lawrence kid, who, as much as anyone in this generation of leaders, has had a significant and long-lasting impact on this city. And that is Mass Development CEO and formerly two-term Mayor of Lawrence, Dan Rivera, who will join me up here on the platform in just a moment, but give him a round for now. Now, there's a sort of a theme running through here. I said Dave wouldn't let me say much about him. Modesty is a bit of a theme. As we all know, Dan would be the very first person to say that the tremendous progress that Lawrence experienced while he was mayor was the result of an entire community and a variety of leaders. And he would be right to say that. Of course he would be right. Yet, there was Dan himself, sometimes in the lead, sometimes at the center, sometimes right behind, encouraging us along. And what tremendous progress this city made under Dan's leadership. You heard about the Boston Magazine article that helped start this organization back in 2012. Rather than cowering in the corner, licking our wounds, this city, led by then Mayor Rivera and dozens of other elected officials, community leaders, business leaders, stepped up to turn things around. By the time Dan left office in 2021, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Christian Science Monitor, other national publications were holding Lawrence up as a model of civic engagement, educational reform, transportation innovation, and a whole lot more. Here are just a few of the ways that this city was transformed since Mayor Rivera was inaugurated for his first term on January 4th, 2014. City finances. In 2010, this city was facing a $27 million operating deficit. The state had to step in with a fiscal overseer. They had to float $35 million in bonds. By October 2019, after a decade of control and under Mayor Rivera's leadership, Lawrence was producing on-time budgets, earned 3 credit rating increases, had built its cash reserves to $19 million. The state-appointed overseer is gone, and Lawrence is once again in charge of its own finances. Economic development. You heard Sock talk about trying to buy a building in this city right now, right? Economic development. Between the day he took office in 2014 and mid-March 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic shut down much of the state, median family income in Lawrence, while it was still lagging behind the nation and the state, had climbed 6% from 55 to 61% of the national average. At the same time, long vacant mill buildings were rapidly filling with commercial and residential developments. Average home prices had taken off. Oh, by the way, the very first Starbucks opened in the city, 2019. I know he's proud of that one. The Lawrence Public Schools, MCAS scores had soared. The dropout rate had been cut in half. In higher education, Northern Essex Community College, where Dan was a trustee and one of my bosses before he became the mayor, had built the new El Hefney Health and Technology Center, a $27 million facility for training healthcare professionals. Dan himself received an honorary degree from Regis College, standing next to Big Pappy, for all the work he had done around higher education in the city. How about that one? We're rounding the corner and heading for home here. Transportation. In the Commonwealth, especially outside of Boston, getting from place to place without an automobile can be one of the biggest barriers to everything we're talking about. To education, to business, to employment, to healthcare. Daily living for low-income residents of gateway cities like Lawrence was tough. In 2020, Dan tapped into a modest amount of funding in the city's cash reserves and created a fare-free transit bus program. He could say it better than me. Which soon after was modeled in cities all around the nation, started right here in Lawrence. Public safety. During the worst days of the budget crisis back in 2011, the police department had to lay off 41 officers, reducing the total down to around 100. During his time in office, that was rebuilt to 150. The police station that is now being built was thanks in large part to the relationships that this man built locally and at the state level to accomplish $45 million in funding for a new police station. Finally, being the mayor of a city, any city, is not easy. Good days, bad days, it seems like everybody else knows how to do the job better than you. Is that fair to say? Is that fair to say? Good days, bad days, sometimes? But when a group of dozens of business and community leaders in this city got together and formed this Lawrence Partnership, Dan embraced it. He wanted to be a part of it. Lead, center, encourage from behind, whatever it takes to do what's best for the city. And you heard about some of the accomplishments of this partnership in the years since. Without doubt, this immigrant city that we all love still has its challenges. There's work ahead. There's a new administration in City Hall that we're grateful for. New leaders here in the room who, thanks to selfless leaders like Dan Rivera, who's always eager to share the credit and determined like the good Boy Scout he is to always leave the woodpile higher than he found it, we have wonderful momentum to build on. So everybody, please join me in congratulating our 2023 Dave Tibbetts Award winner, Dan Rivera.
Francisco. Francisco. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great. It's an honor being in front of you today to give this recognition to not just our former mayor, but he also holds an amazing honor that he went to UMass Amherst School, which is a school that I went to. He was actually so I knew of Dan before I knew of Dan, because I was a UMass kid, I was involved in student government, and I like knowing the history of who came before me. And lo and behold, I see that there's a Dan Rivera, Latino. It was really, 18,000 kids at UMass, there were only 400 Latinos, so to be elected across the campus wasn't an easy thing. And I'm like, I wonder where this kid's from. And he's from Lawrence. He was a UMass trustee. So ever since UMass, he was always trying to uplift his community there at UMass and now here. Mayor Rivera, I feel like this is the second recognition that I give to you. Across the state, everyone loves Dan Rivera. They're always asking, like, hey, you know this guy from Lawrence named Dan Rivera? And I'm like, yeah, so I don't know what it is that you're doing. But checks, that's what it is. This is a citation from the State House. Myself, my colleague, Representative Paulino, Representative Leader Moran, and Representative Reyes, who couldn't make it today. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to former Mayor Dan Rivera, President and CEO of Mass Development, for being the recipient of the Economic Impact Award. We wish you continued success, and this is signed by myself and the Senate President. Thank you so much, Mr. Rivera.
Is Mr. Tibbetts on? There we go.
Everybody in? I'll try to be brief. Thank you so much. I think one more time, I used to always like to do this, and I don't ever get a chance to do it that often. Representative Paulino, Senator Payano, I'm getting used to that one. I used to be city councilor. And I like it though, Senator Payano and the other representatives. They deserve a tremendous round of applause. They fight every day for state money to come to cities like Lawrence. Another round of applause for Mr. Payano, Senator Payano. And you know, when you're a mayor, you get to be with other mayors, but even when you go across the Commonwealth every day and you see what's going on in every city, you get to see mayors every day. Where's Mayor DePena at? I just saw him. Is he up? Mayor DePena, before you leave. Brian, antes que te vaya. I think really important to say, because I see it all the time and I got to see it when I was mayor, being mayor of the city of Lawrence is the hardest job in the Commonwealth. And Brian, you're doing a good job. Thank you so much for all you do. Un día de los problemas tuyos. Un día de los problemas tuyos. Anyway, it's a little inside baseball, y'all. It's a little inside baseball. And what can I say to the partnership? How about the only economic development organization in the Commonwealth led by, managed by a BIPOC leadership team, the Lawrence Partnership, and George Ramirez, and Wendy Estrella, and Socrates. A round of applause for the great work they do every day. Because you could go to Lowell. It's not a diverse people running the Lowell plan. Is it the Lowell plan? The Salem Partnership. There's organizations like this across the Commonwealth. But Lawrence stands tall. Lawrence Partnership stands tall in that the people from this community, Lawrence kids, running the Lawrence Partnership. And I really just wanted to say thank you for honoring me today. And I don't know if you've noticed a little thread there, all these women leaders. Be wary. If you don't know yet, that's the secret sauce here in Lawrence, the Lawrence leaders beginning. And all the new stars are all women. Y'all saw that? Wendy, I see Zoila in the audience there. All this stuff really starts with the work that the women leaders do. So a round of applause of our women leaders in Lawrence every day. But by the way, most of them are attorneys, so be on the right side of that situation. You know, what can you say about Lane Glenn? You know, they asked him to come run a college. He ended up trying to help a community lift itself up, even against our own wishes sometimes. And so, round of applause for our great president, Northern Essex. Let's do all we can to keep him here. I would not be a good steward of my organization if I didn't point out my board members that are here. I see Jess Anders from Lawrence Community Works. Thank you for being here. She's a member of the Mass Development Board. Julie Thurlow from Remy Cooperative is also here with us, president of. And if you haven't heard, Remy Cooperative downtown branch, as branches have always been leaving the city of Lawrence, it's important to point out when banks come back to our community, Remy Cooperative, great job doing for us. I didn't know if I was supposed to say the grand opening's today. It's right down the street across from 60 Island Street. I think it's going to be at 5 o'clock. There's going to be a party. They're giving me the signal. Come on down, have some fun. And just because Pavel said, you know, people know me statewide, is most of the time I get to come with a check and say, hey, your grant has been funded, or your loan has been approved. But just so you know, where's the mass development team? Okay, the mass development team that's here, there's about three of us. Annabelle, stand up, Annabelle. Josefa, stand up, Josefa. Teresa, where you at, Teresa? Teresa? Where's Teresa? Don't hide, Teresa. Anyway, stay standing up. Don't ask me for money, ask them for money. Those are the people that get the money for you. I just do whatever they tell you. They tell me I just do that. So thank you so much for mass development. And I got an extension on being the president of Mass Development because of the great support from the Commonwealth, Governor Healy, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, who's the former mayor, Secretary Howe, just a great team bringing the new leadership to the Commonwealth. Leadership, by the way, and leading on policies created by former economic development leaders like Dave Tibbetts. I gotta tell you, there was names before, I'm sure if you said to Sock when he was coming up as an attorney, you know, Judge Fenton, those are names you hear about. You know, Mayor Sullivan, the first Mayor Sullivan, second Mayor Sullivan, good guy too, but first Mayor Sullivan, you know, Jim Shannon. These are people in public life that would always say, you know, we want to aspire to those things. Nikki Songas and her former husband, Paul Songas, ran for president. And so you get these people in your atmosphere. And so when people talk about Dave Tibbetts, they talk about the efforts he's done, by the way, from Newburyport to Lowell, to make sure that communities like Lawrence get up. So I am really honored today to be blessed with this presentation to me, because I feel like now I have to furthermore garner and protect David Tibbetts' name in the work that we do. It helps that he's a Lawrence kid. You know, he helps as a Lawrence kid. So, Prospect Hill, Tower Hill? Prospect Hill, Mount Vernon? Tower Hill, Prospect Hill?
Park Street.
Park Street?
Park Street, Tarbuck School.
Tarbuck School down on Park Street. Not Tower Hill, not Mount Vernon, back in the day. A tenement.
A smart-ass kid from the Stadium Projects and a smart-ass kid from Park Street. What else could you ask for?
That's the truth. So us doing that together makes me feel really proud to have that piece of it for us. Again, Lane kind of took the kind of my thing that I always do, which is this really isn't about me, but it really is the people that a few of you out there in the audience, Kate, Abel, Eileen, I saw Martha. So if you were part of the team in Lawrence before, please stand up so we can see you. I saw absolutely, folks who have been part, stand up. You know who you are. Don't make me say them out, because then I'm going to forget somebody. Stand up. Martha. None of this could have happened without the work that these folks did every day. Hey, Lisa Tumisi, how you doing? So make sure the people have really helped us all through this process, really, for the longest time. And that really is the legacy that we did. As being a Lawrence kid, we just try to do the work every day. Then and now, you got to do something, work hard at that thing to get stuff done. There's 100 different reasons, especially in communities like Lawrence, why things don't get done. And across the Commonwealth, I see this every day. And all it takes is a yes, all it takes is a little bit more effort. And Eneida from Amplify Latinx reminded me of this word when I was doing the presentation. And a little bit of atrévete. Te tiene que atreverte. Yeah, atrévete. Not like your mom, atrévete, like don't do it. But the atrévete we really mean, which is you gotta dare to do these things. However small or large, atrévete to do something today. And together, if we do it, I think we'll continue the great progress that this city has. Thank you so much. I'm very, very honored to be with you guys. Pleasure to have you.
Congratulations again, Dan. I hope you saw these people standing as you were walking down the steps. Well deserved that standing O. We have a real treat for you now, everybody. You got a preview of her a little while ago when she came up to accept one of the Rising Stars Awards for somebody who wasn't able to join us today. Phyllis Barajas is the amazing, multi-talented founder and CEO of Conexión. It's an organization devoted to making connections among Latino leaders all across the state. She's also the former United States Deputy Assistant of Education. She was an assistant dean at the Harvard University School of Government. She's a trustee emeritus at Eastern Bank, one of the organizations that helped start the Lawrence Partnership, the first Latina trustee in the bank's 200-year history, and she's been with us in one way or another since the founding of this partnership. I happened to see her at an event at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston a few weeks ago, and we got to talking about an event we were going to have. And before I gave her any details at all, she agreed to come and do this. She had no idea what she was getting into at the time. We're so privileged and proud to have her here with us today. Phyllis, would you please come and join me up here on the platform? And would our panelists for Conexiones Importantes please join us as well? Elizabeth Roberts, Leslie Melendez, Dan Rivera, and Jose Cruz, and it's over to Phyllis.
I want you to pay attention to this part because we have a wonderful panel here. So the idea is for us to share a little bit about what mentorship has been to this panelist, right? We're gonna have a discussion about mentorship and the importance of mentoring each other. And we wanted to do a quick activity. I want you guys to kind of look to the person to your side, whoever's closer to you, and have a quick discussion about who has been a mentor in your life. Who has been that person that has mentored you in one way or another? It's interesting because once you start thinking about it, you realize that there's been a lot of people in our lives that we need to be so thankful for what we've accomplished, right? So have that conversation amongst yourselves. You can feel free to share with the person next to you and think about who have been this special person in your life that has really been a mentor. And I can go on and on about mentorship because that's what it's all about, right? For us to become successful, we need to learn from others. So that's what that conversation is going to lead us at this point with this wonderful panel that we have here today. So welcome, and Phyllis, you have the floor. So I'm going to ask you guys to please be quiet and listen to this wonderful conversation.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. You may not have had much more than a few seconds to really think about your mentor, or if you even had a mentor, or what a mentor means to you. But we have a very distinguished panel today that is going to talk about their experience with their mentors and how those mentors, along with their own creativity and leadership, really made a positive difference in Lawrence. First of all, I want to congratulate the Lawrence Partnership. As was mentioned before, I've been involved with Lawrence Partnership since its very beginning and just really impressed with where it's all come and continues to grow. So just a little bit more about me. I'm a social entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, as you know, in business, are people who see an issue or a problem and decide to fix it. As a social entrepreneur, we're people who see a social issue that needs addressing. When we launched Conexiones, myself and a group of other social entrepreneurs 18 years ago, we saw that Latinos, even though we're the second largest and youngest demographic in the United States, are still not at parity in leadership across any industry, business, government, or nonprofits. Lawrence is an exception, obviously, and congratulations for your diverse leadership with Hispanic Latinos leading the way. Being an entrepreneur, I can't help myself, so I already told several of the gentlemen here and the chair of the board, the Wendy, I said, you guys have to have some PhD do a case study of what has happened here in Lawrence as a model for the country. I really mean that, and I'll do what I can to help make that happen, because this is a story worth telling, not only for here, but for the country. A friend of mine, who was the former president of the Federal Reserve in Boston, said that the economy of the country cannot succeed without Latinos at the core. So, it's on us. Okay, so enough about me. And one small digression. The reason I accepted Maricel's award is I'm very proud to say Maricel went through Conexión, the program that we founded. She went through the program a number of years ago, and Conexión, just so you know, many of you know, Conexión is Spanish for connections, and if you look at the program, we have our mission statement there. But Conexión is really about looking at how do we help business, government, and nonprofits fast-track their Latino talent into leadership roles, and really looking at that talent pipeline and helping them make that happen faster, quicker, better. And we equip our Hispanic Latino mentees, which is Maricel is one of them, with extraordinary executives, entrepreneurs, successful leaders like some of the individuals that are here today and others who've been part of Conexión, to mentor them for a whole year. And we have seen tremendous success in them advancing in their own careers and being leaders in their own right. I'll stop there if you want to know more. Carlos Vasquez is here with me. You can stand up, Carlos. Okay. And we'll tell you more about Conexión later. But again, we believe in mentoring. it's about one generation like Mr. Tibbetts and myself. What value is it for us to know people unless we pay it forward to the rest of you? So, and you can do the same. That's the call to action. So now I'd like to turn it over to the panel. We have 2 questions for the panel. So we're going to start with the first question, which is, we want you to talk to us, and I guess we'll start with Leslie. I kind of think of you sort of a social entrepreneur. Okay? Leslie Melendez. But we're going to ask each of them to tell us about their mentor relationship and specifically around, give us an example of a way in which your mentor really helped you address an issue that made Lawrence a better place. And you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, to be with some pretty amazing folks up here. I've got to say, you know, I've been thinking about this question and thinking about this question and thinking about this question since George sent them to us. And just by sheer coincidence, I would say, that one of my many mentors is sharing the stage with me today. He convinced me to leave corporate America and come back to work in Lawrence. At a time when I was like, there's a lot of craziness going on over there. I'm good, I'm going to stay over here. Yet he still made sure that when I came back, I was looked after. I had a direct line to him. When I had a problem, I would call him. And when he saw that I was kind of going one way or the other, he would let me know. But one of the things that I learned the most in that relationship with him was that I had to, as I was rising, I had to lift. That it couldn't stop with me. That I had to continue that journey. So thank you very much, Mr. Rivera.
Do you have an example of one instance in particular which actually was something you were working on?
Something we were working on that's easy. That's really easy. In 2018, the city of Lawrence and a couple of surrounding communities experienced a disaster like Noah. And one of the things that was clear was that Lawrence had the power to overcome it, but nobody else believed that. The rest of the country was looking at Lawrence, oh no, they've fallen apart. They're not going to be able to get up from this one. And Dan pulled together a group of nonprofits, mine included, to start talking about how we respond. And how we respond in a way that wasn't duplicating other efforts, but we were taking the lead. He gave us a leader in Martha Velez. Martha! She can't hear me. But he gave us a leader in Martha Velez and encouraged us to have conversations, hard conversations around funding, hard conversations around what people are doing, to make sure that we can be successful, not only for ourselves, but for the residents of this city, and that we could show that regardless of what was going on, we were going to make it through. And we sure did.
So an example, one of the things that mentors do is provide access. I don't say sponsorship, I say access. They open doors. Good example. All right, how about Jose Cruz?
Hi.
From Reading Cooperative.
Thank you for having me. I'll make it quick, that was a great story, a great guy, I love it. But I have to say that one of the big mentors that I had to make me wanted to create an impact here in the city, it was actually my father, Joe Bonens. He had a garage in the city for 35 years, raised his family, from work in the city, my wife included, obviously. Went to a lot of different, economic business owner, but very resilient. And having, at the end of the day, just the faith in the city and what he did here. When he turned 30-year anniversary he's working in the city, he came and actually gave him a plaque. He cried. He cried in front of me, so I think that for me has been a big impact in years to come.
Okay, so again, another example of access. Access changes everything. And commitment over time. It's not a one and done, by the way. Mentorship is not a one and done. It's a commitment over time. You're up next.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank the Lawrence Partnership for welcoming me here today. This is such an honor and it's so exciting. So as far as mentors, I think that I've been blessed and privileged to have so many great mentors in the city of Lawrence, like Wendy Estrella, who was one of the attorneys who actually encouraged me to apply to law school. And also Johan Lopez, who said, girl, why are you working in corporate? Get back to the city. Practice real estate. I'll give you business. Those are great mentors, for sure. But today I actually want to focus on someone who gave me an unbelievable opportunity. And that is Maria Sena, who's here with me today. Who's here with us today. So Maria is actually my account manager. She works with Old Republic Title. And I'll tell you, I remember vividly calling Maria and saying, I am a brand new attorney and I want to be a real estate attorney. I want to focus on real estate law. The only way that I can actually close loans is if I'm signed up with a title company. I had already called 4 title insurance companies and they were like, sorry, you need to have a book of business or you need to be working under an experienced attorney. Maria said, I'm going to give you an opportunity and I'm going to sign you up. If it wasn't for Maria, I would not have been able to open up my practice. By the way, I told her that I had already opened my law office, but the reality is that I was really working out at the kitchen table. That's a story for another day. But she gave me a chance. And I'm so grateful for her, and I encourage everyone, or our rising leaders, to look to other mentors or anyone who can believe in them, their dreams, so that they can pursue those goals.
And that's another thing that mentors do. Our definition in Going Stone around mentors is somebody who's a trusted advisor, somebody who has your back.
That's right.
Somebody who believes in you. They're all about you. Their focus is you. So they have your back and they give you an opportunity. They believe in you enough to give you a chance. And that's what your mentor did. The other thing is that Liz mentioned is having more than one mentor at different points in your life. Even at the same time, you might have mentors that are advising you around business, professional, and you might have somebody who's you're thinking about doing something else, a side hustle, a project or something, and you get someone else that maybe you're a first-time parent, and it's something that we're going to do in Connection. We're going to do a series. Carlos is sponsoring a 3-part series on parenting. But again, finding maybe somebody you admire as a parent, they can become a mentor to you even as a young parent and how to parent well. So different things that they can do for you, but having more than one mentor. And Dan, your example.
You don't feel old until you start looking back, trying to figure out all the many people that have really helped you out. One of the things that I always say when I talk about what we do is that I feel like I'm a product of great public policy. Like public housing, public assistance, public education, about my first home with the GI loan. So I feel like, everywhere I turn, I feel like I got support to move forward, be a chubby, not so handsome kid with the projects before. Oh, all right. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a...
I think you're handsome.
I appreciate that. It's not like you're filled with... By the way, this thing that people always keep saying was, oh, you're from Lawrence.
Yeah.
By the way, parentheses or quotation mark, it was never in a positive sense. Not like they say today, oh, you're from Lawrence? Damn. No, so the people that in my life that really helped me, the people that were in these institutions, I think about the leadership of the Boys Club, Robinson and Kelly. I was a joiner, if you ever see people like to join off everything. I was a Boy Scout, a Civil Level Patrol. So early on with all these people, all these men in my life, they really tried to help me out. I'm a Scoutmaster, Ned Schwartz from Tower Hill. that really made me believe in myself. But really gave me, the people that gave me help get access ended up really being a lot of the women leaders in my life. My first time working in city government, I worked for Mayor Patricia Dowling. And she showed me how to be a tough mayor. And my colleagues along that way, talked about the attorneys that are here today, Sawyer and Wendy, and folks like that who really gave me they actually gave me a lot of perspective in life. And if you can take the bar while you're pregnant and become an attorney, damn right, you can just keep going. You can get nothing to complain about. You got nothing to complain about, especially if the English is secretary. So I feel like those are the type of people that we need to work along the way. And again, the team that we had, doing the things we did a couple years back, every day I learned something from the team. Abel taught me what it means to do economic development. Martha taught me how to have a heart when we do these things. And other folks along the way really did help us out.
Thank you. And again, another thing that mentors do is they're role models. They show you how it's done, even if they're pregnant, whatever it may be. But again, mentors serve as a role model. They show you how to get through the tough times. They show you how to lead. And again, another example of people having faith in you that are invested in you. So one more question before we wrap up. Is can you say a little bit about what you do now to mentor others? How are you paying it forward? And what are some of the things that you do to help the next generation coming up behind you? Who wants to go first? Jose? Okay. And then you.
Back to the comment that Daddy made. Being a kid from Lawrence, you need sometimes to have that mentor, that person you can look into and talk to, be a role model and such. Because again, sometimes they don't have the same opportunities that a kid from affluent community might have.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's important for all of us here to become a mentor, see that role model, and pay forward. For instance, we right now have to develop that bench, future leaders. At Ready for Law, for instance, we have a great apprenticeship program where we take new hires and we give them fair wages, new benefits, and we also prepare them with different mentors so they can become in the future the next line of leaders within the company. Local, hires from here, and I can actually say, for instance, that we have two cases that I can mention, that I can probably take credit, that I can, say I'm the mentor in one way or another. Sally Ortiz and Jake Gilbert. Yeah, round of applause. And I have to say, two rising stars, like Sock was saying earlier today, I can see them in the future taking the realm of different positions in the bank, and also probably they're not doing it one day. So again, having that honor to say I can mentor them, I think is great, and also very important for all of us as local leaders.
Good. Okay. Good. Paying it forward. Good.
So, I love this question. I love my job. I love being an attorney. I feel like my business is very successful. I've been practicing now for 9 years. But I have to be honest, the most rewarding aspect of what I do is giving back to my community.
Yes.
Some of the activities that I participate in, for example, I try to make sure that I work on first-time home buyer programs, and that is to help, our community reach homeownership. So that's obviously something that I love to do. I also offer mentorship programs at Bias Law Group. I also participate with local schools, and this is what I love. This is the part that I love about giving back. And this is what I'm saying when you mentioned paying it forward, right? So I go to the schools and I speak to these kids. I serve as a panelist, and I love to see their faces light up when I share my personal story, and that story resonates with them. I say I'm a Dominicana. I was raised in Lawrence, and I attended Lawrence Public Schools just like you.
That's right.
You can also be an attorney. You can be a doctor. You can be anything that you set out to do. With hard work and dedication, anything can happen. And that is the most fulfilling for me, paying it back. And I encourage all rising leaders to do the same, to provide that level of mentorship to others, to give back to the community in that way, and to empower others.
Love it, love it. Dan?
I had a learning experience, I don't know, must have been 3 or 4 years into being mayor, where a young person that was running for office came to see me, and I didn't really want to meet with her. She was running against my friend, Harvey Devers. And when he was always here, she made me meet with Juan Diaz. And I was trying to be a nice guy. I really wanted to tell her not to run against my friend. But I was a nice kid, and I really, later on, I became a big supporter of Juan as we were friends. And so, it was not a really great meeting. Because when I took in that opportunity was not to mentor her in a positive way, I took it to mentor her in a negative way. Hey, avoid this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. Which, by the way, when we're trying to figure something out, it can be very, when we're talking about people, it's like, condescending. Who's this dude? Come with me, you don't know what to do. So I learned that then. What I try to do today, when I'm learning with Juan is, every opportunity with a mentorship opportunity, they come to you, rising star, not rising star. Someone says, hey, you did that before, how do you do that? Give them a positive example.
Thank you.
What can I do? So when I get that situation now, I tell people, hey, knock on doors, get signatures. That's a positive example. Instead of getting into the minutia of it, or avoid this person, or avoid that person, or you shouldn't do it like that. Now, if you're an attorney, I think you gotta tell them, don't go to jail. The law is the law. There's other things. So what I try to do with mentors that come up is find positive things to say to people, to keep them focused on their journey, because you just never know. You sit with, the future regional director of HUD, and you try to tell her not to do what she wants to do. So that's what you do every day. Even though I don't have an active mentorship relationship, my role in mass development, I get every day I get a chance to say yes.
Good.
And that will help.
Yeah, we say, yes, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I want to underscore that point, because we have a tendency to want to point out the pitfalls. It's like, no, that's your journey, but look at them, see their strengths, and I applaud you what she did. It's like, what will it take for them to achieve their dream? They're going to have to figure it out for themselves, but at least show them the path that they may want to take, the path that hasn't been taken before in their lives. Let them have a shot at it. Who knows, they actually might make it. Sounds like they did.
Don't tell what I was talking about.
Okay, Liz, you want to wrap it up?
Thank you.
Yeah, Leslie.
I have to say that very similar to Liz's story, being able to share my story and my journey with young people and having them take a look at me and say, wait, miss, you're what? I'm like, yeah, I'm the boss. You get to make all the decisions? Yup, I get to do that. Wait, I can do that too then. Absolutely. You can do anything you put your mind to. Being the executive director of a nonprofit was not my career path. That was not it. But what an amazing career it's been.
Yes.
What an amazing career it's been. And all I can thank is my mentors and to make sure that I do give back. One, because it's just the right thing to do, but I think it's genetics. So those that know my last name, it's in the blood, it's in the DNA. I've been volunteering and doing work since I was probably 8 or 9 years old with my family, and making sure that folks understand the importance of giving back. I think that is crucial and critical, because as Dan said, you don't know if you're going to be sitting next to the next president of the United States of America, and they're asking you for a little bit of advice.
Yep.
So never say no to someone, and take the 5 minutes to have the conversation with someone. And do it with grace and understanding that you aren't perfect, they aren't either, but together you can learn something.
Dan, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think you said exactly what you said. I was going to say something.
Okay. All right. And just there's a quote that I use a lot of times in terms of if you could make a mistake, it might work, it might not. And the quote is that when you try something, I either win or I learn.
That's right.
Because it's otherwise, you open people up to possibilities. I either win or I learn. So again, something to think about, being a role model at whatever stage of career, of life that you are. That's an opportunity you have to mentor someone else. See the good in them, see what they can leverage for themselves. Be that trusted advisor, have faith in them. I have faith in our community. I've never given up. I keep thinking, you know, I've been doing this for a few years now, more than a few years, but I believe in our community. I'm very proud of what you all have done here in Lawrence today, and look forward to that fabulous report on Lawrence. It's going to be in national stories very soon. So congratulations. Thank you to the panel.
Amen.
You guys all had great stories. It's right on, right on.
Oh, yeah. ¿Vamos a tirar una foto? Y una foto. Y una foto para Facebook. Liz, pero vamos, una foto. We don't want to hog up the stage, but come on. I'm not always on stage with these cool people.
Come on, please. I don't know who's taking pictures.
I don't know. We'll find somebody.
Wendy's taking pictures.
Come a little bit more this way.
We only have about 5 more minutes for you. You don't want to miss the closing remarks. So please be patient as these superstars take their picture. We promise we'll speed it up a little bit. But we would love for you guys to stay and enjoy the closing remarks. Thank you.
Guys, before you leave, I'll just say a very quick call to action. My name is Evan Silverio. I am an executive board member with the Lawrence Partnership. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. And I'll grab you guys as you're going out. Thank you. I know they put me at the tail end of the agenda, but I think it's for a good reason. I think it's because this is probably the most important part of the agenda today, which is talking about the Lawrence Partnership's greatest asset. Anybody want to give a quick shout of what they think it is? A guess? Us? 90% there, right? 90% there, right? It is actually the official members of the Lawrence Partnership Network. The official, and I say official because there's an actual membership that we can sign on to get more involved with the Lawrence Partnership. As Wendy said earlier, at its core, the Lawrence Partnership is simply a core of people connecting other people, right? When you take ideas, those ideas need to be put into action somehow. They need to be implemented, right? And we're only as good as the people around us, right? So the Lawrence Partnership Network is this web that connects us. There's over 100 people now, and we need more people, right? So when you have some good ideas, part of the Lawrence Partnership, focusing in Lawrence, please join us. There's a table in the back. There's a person right now, Ruby Balborda, who's holding up a sign, or a sign-up sheet. If you haven't joined the movement, join it today. It's real quick. We will get in contact with you. We'll have some coffee. We'll sit down with you. Let's put your ideas into action. Be a part of this great movement today. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a very special moment for us. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you're kind of on the peripheral here, could you kind of move in a little bit and come closer? Please, we're wrapping up. This is the wrap up. But we want you close. So don't be scared. COVID's over. It's no problem. Well, it's not over. I don't want to get in trouble here. But you're not going to die, I guess. So we have come to pretty much the conclusion of today's event. And all year long, we've been working towards this. And it's really a credit to the people in Lawrence, the businesses in Lawrence, the leaders in Lawrence. You know what? The kids in Lawrence, the grandmothers, the uncles, the aunts, the cousins. It's all of us together making things happen. And the Lawrence Partnership has been led by some incredible leaders in the past. One is standing to my left, who is the original director or chair of the board, Lane Glenn. And since Lane, we've had, she's here. And if you would stand and maybe join us, please. Join us. Round of applause, please. Now, Marianne Pelly Nadell is also a former chair of the Lawrence Partnership Board. What you have up here now is the 3 Lawrence Partnership Boards, and together we want with you to say thank you to this year's, which is now ending, her term is ending, Wendy Estrella, who is our now exiting chair.
Well-deserved standing ovation. I've had the great privilege of knowing Wendy Estrella for nearly 20 years now. It has been that long. She was one of my bosses along with Dan Rivera when I became president of Northern Essex Community College, and she was a trustee. More than that, she is an alum of Northern Essex Community College, learned English, came to school with us, spoke at our commencement about her life journey. It is so very rewarding to see her accomplish what she's accomplished professionally, lead this organization through a couple of its toughest years. Wendy was our chair through COVID. Wendy was our chair through hiring our second executive director. She has managed us capably through some tremendous transitions, symbolically, passionately, with every fiber of the love that she has for this city. One more time, please join me in thanking Wendy Estrella. Okay, you get to close.
Thank you, Lane, and thank you, Sock, for those wonderful words. It's really been a pleasure to serve in this community in this capacity. This is the end, guys. And again, I want to keep telling you to please get involved. Don't forget that we had that call to action today. If you want to get involved in the partnership, what better way to get into the partnership network? So please sign up. So as a closing remarks, again, I want to thank you for being here today, but most importantly, we want to thank everyone who made this event possible. There was a lot of hands involved in making this amazing event possible today. So first of all, we want to thank George Ramirez, our executive director. We want to thank you, George, so much for all this. We want to thank Karina Calderon. Thank you so much, Karina. And all the staff of the Lawrence Partnership for making this event happen in such a great manner. We also like to thank all the vendors, everyone who actually participated in the food. The food is amazing, isn't it? Thank you guys so much for being here today. We also want to say thank the Lapoli companies for donating this wonderful space. And I'll tell you, if you guys have an event and you want to host it here, please do so. This is a great space for the city of Lawrence. We want to thank the Northern Essex Community College volunteers who come every year and help us so much. Thank you so much to the volunteers of NECC. Also to the NECC Jazz Band.
Yes.
I mean, come on, guys. That was awesome. We want to have that every single year. We want to thank the Essex Art Center, to the artists that were here today paintings. Thank you so much. Also to the American Audience Audiovisual for putting this together. The sound this year was fantastic. So we're so thankful to them. Thank you guys. Also, we want to thank Mike Dean, our photographer. Great work. Thank you so much. Every year you're here helping us, so thank you. The Pentagon Studios. We also want to thank Omni Printing, who is a printing company here in the city of Lawrence. It's a local company that we highly recommend and go use their services, all these vendors who are here in the city of Lawrence. We also want to thank Diana Organizers, who's the cleaning company, who's going to help us put this together and also clean after ourselves. We want to thank Labor on Site as well for helping us, all the workers that are here today. And the awards and the gifts came from ESCO Awards, Creative Gestures Studio. Thank you so much, Karina, and Sweet Little Details. So thank you guys. Great work. And last but not least, we want to thank Coco Gift Balloons for the balloons decorations. They look amazing. Thank you for collaborating with us. And again, all the vendors from the food, they're all part of our revolving test kitchen. We have Jesse's Clean Meal, Los Patrones, OK Chef, Mood Foods, Cremosos Gourmet Ice, and Planted Donuts. So thank you so much for that wonderful food. I still have to eat, so save me some. Again, guys, we thank you so much for being here today, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you.